Hello everyone, and welcome to my top 5 flesh-eating anime characters. This is my first time making a list of a collective species being taken as a character, so bear with me if I don't make sense somewhere along the way. Now, flesh-eating, especially that of human beings, is meant to be a disgusting and disturbing act to the audience. So with this in mind, the characters must have a taste for human flesh, which is used to move the story forward, or lending it some edge by presenting a sense of danger and soliciting empathy, disgust, or shock from us, the audience. The concept must be used to great effect, either as a metaphor or life question that is relatable and relevant. They must make the audience and the other characters in their respective universes struggle with the thought of their feeding habits as well. One thing I have noticed that is in common between these characters is that they are all related to human beings in some way or another, so I won't bother with pointing it out for each of them unless it's a real standout. Needless to say, only characters that consistently do this or consider it are going to be counted. They must also be anime that I have personally watched, so if you don't see yours on this list, feel free to comment with your reasoning, and maybe I will add the anime they are from to my watch list. Okay, now that the groundwork has been laid out, let's begin. Number 5 are the zombies from High School of the Dead. Zombies are reanimated, voracious, dead people who pose a threat in their creepy, shuffling, and taste for people. They tend to have been human beings that the characters running away from them can relate to, and this is what makes them so creepy. The only problem that I have with the zombies is simply that they are overplayed in all types of entertainment media, particularly television, movies, and video games. But they surely have made their mark and will continue to do so for years on end. In the High School of the Dead world, they tend to have way too much competition in the form of the comedic fan service, which distracts from the horror they should be eliciting. But their horde attacks and persistent hunger for human flesh keeps them firmly on this list.
You wouldn't happen to have anything on you I could eat, would you? I'm unbelievably hungry. Perhaps you can spare a little meat. A taste of viscera would be nice.
Number 4 are Yoma from the anime Claymore. Yoma are creatures that can disguise themselves as human beings and feed among people who know the outward appearance and mannerisms of their victims. The main reason these creatures are on the list is because the only way they can be defeated is to have people integrate the flesh of the Yoma into themselves, creating the Claymore warriors. What is so disturbing about this, and its best selling point for this list, is that the human race has to rely on the very same creatures that hunt them in order to survive. Nothing is creepier than having that conflict of wondering whether or not the people protecting you are your enemies and could start eating you like the Yoma.
I want to tear open the stomach. Bury my face in the warmth of wet, bloody entrails.
At number 3 are parasites from the anime Parasite. Parasites are alien creatures that hatch from some form of space egg and take over the bodies of human beings, the head in particular. The issue now becomes of them not only eating human flesh, but in its own way, human will. They eat humans for some reason. However, this is more for the horror rather than the question as to why they eat people. The story does not go into detail about this, and it just wants us to be at the edge of our seats as we fear being eaten as well. This is driven home by the fact that some of them even admit that they could probably survive on things other than people, but they choose to partake in human flesh because of instinct.
When I first took control of this human host, I instantly received a directive to devour your entire species.
This shows that they eat us not only for nutrition, but for the sake of removing us from the top of the food chain and doing to us what was done to whatever species was above us, though I don't think we ate them to do so.
I don't think my stomach can hold all 4 of you.
Your stomach.
Number 2 are ghouls from Tokyo Ghoul. Ghouls have an insatiable appetite for human flesh, and that is all they can eat and nothing else. Well, besides coffee.
You'll see. Once you start eating it, you won't be able to stop. Yes, it's so good. It'll put any steak to shame.
This takes advantage of our relating to them, as they have human appearances and mannerisms in every way except that they eat people out of need. What's more, the main character is Kaneki, a once human boy who has been turned into a ghoul. This really evokes emotions of whether or not we would even consider consuming another human being when all along we were used to being that very same human being. They are number 2 because they have that relatability where we may begrudgingly understand where they are coming from but still cringe every time they are eating.
I have to admit, this is heavy. How'd you get as far as you did?
Since you asked so nicely, I'll tell you my secret. I eat well.
This show is the closest in giving me that creeped out, stomach-churning feeling that only the television series Hannibal could bring out. However, ghouls get a chance to advocate their position to the audience. Also, the plot turns away from the human side and looks more to the ghoul society, such that the reactions from other characters turns from shock to a question of the morality of killing other creatures for food. So we basically end up being that cow that we always debate with each other about eating. And number 1 are Titans from Attack on Titan. They beat out ghouls simply because the reason why they eat people is unknown. It is revealed that they don't need to eat people in order to survive, and they actually regurgitate them after doing so.
Titans aren't motivated by hunger as such. They're simply in it for the kill.
This mystery and their humanoid appearance, even though much bigger than us, makes them the most effective and creepy flesh eaters. They are human enough to be disturbing to see them eating people, but they are monstrous enough to be understandable why they do so, or you would expect them to. Their concept takes advantage of the philosophy that human beings are afraid of what is not like them, and even more so those things that are higher in the food chain. We are used to being at the top of the food chain, but Titans are above us in this respect and appear to be random but also organized. To make it worse, they rule our society with terror by turning out that some might be intelligent humans who we have met before. We are not a form of sustenance for them, so why eat us to begin with? And this question has managed to earn them the top spot on this list. And those are my top 5 flesh-eating anime characters. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please comment, like and subscribe. And don't forget to vote on the poll for which was your favorite on this list. Until the next video, I am Zakes and take care.